Hello everybody and welcome to today's UNICON webinar on UNICON's digital future and opportunities for members. My name is Rob Dietl. I'm Director of Executive Programs here at MIT Sloan, and I'm delighted to be your moderator for today's event and very happy that you can join us. It's been a little bit of a while since our last webinar, so very happy to be reconnecting with you and providing some timely and relevant information. The topic of digitization and digital futures, I think, is important to us all, and we're all probably seeing this trend and theme emerging in the work that we do in executive education. So very happy today to be bringing this topic to you with a focus on how UNICON is really approaching the digital future and how it will provide opportunities for members. I'm sure you've probably noticed a newly designed UNICON website with lots of enhanced tools and features, and very happy today to have Peter Mathot guiding us through today's webinar. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items I'd like to cover with you today. First and foremost, in the box that you have on the GoToWebinar that you should be seeing on your screen, a couple things to point out. First is that handouts are available that you can download as we go through the presentation or after. The first is a tip sheet, an Adobe PDF tip sheet for attendees on how to use the GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar functions, and the second is actually a copy of the slide decks that we'll be using today. The other thing that I want to mention that today's webinar will be recorded and available for viewing later, so if you'd like to refer to this later on or perhaps let your colleagues know that this will be available for viewing later if they're not able to attend today, please do so, and we hope that you'll take full advantage of it both here in today's live session as well as a recorded version for viewing later on. So as we begin, just want to give a quick introduction to Peter Mathot. Peter is the Managing Director at the Rutgers Business School Executive Education. He's also a marketing instructor of professional practice and serves on the UNICON as the off-board co-chair of the Digital Communications Committee. So one last reminder that we will be using the chat box as well for questions, and Peter is willing to take your questions throughout the program. So as he's going through the material, if you do have questions, please submit those via the chat box and we'll bring those to Peter's attention. We'll also open up at the end of the session for a wider Q&A. So again, we'll be using the chat box for any questions. With that, over to you, Peter, and thank you again for presenting today.
Well, thank you very much, Rob, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world today. So thank you for the very nice introduction. As Rob said, my name is Peter Mathot, and at any time if you have sort of questions as we go through the presentation, feel free to stop me. The quick agenda for today is to really talk about where we've come from, where we are today, and where we're going. All of sort of these sort of very strategic questions. We'll take you through a couple slides and then dig right into the website, go through some features, some that you can see and some that are just about to be released over the next few days, weeks, etc. So again, you're looking at the agenda. We're going to talk about the why, the when, the what, the where, who, and also what's going to happen in the future. So let's start with the why. So this is the why. We are a collection of 110 some odd global brands. A lot of us have very distinguished brands that we work with, and the UNICON as its own brand, one that kind of unites us all beyond the fact that it all unites us in executive education, needs to be a brand and have a digital presence that we are all proud of. Individually and collectively, we all spend a lot of money representing our brands and bringing the best foot forward to our clients, and as members, we're all sort of the client of UNICON, and in that respect, we felt it was more than time to sort of revamp and to improve, and so it is sort of with this collective idea behind it that we'll talk about the lens we looked to as we were building sort of the future strategy for UNICON. So just looking at this sort of a busy slide, but if I can break it down for you. Looking at the bottom, let's start with the bottom and work our way up. We wanted to create a strong presence, a presence that we're proud of, that adds value at incremental levels to all members, not only member schools, but members of those member schools. So all of the individual people that work at these schools, how do we give them more value along the way? And then if you look towards the left-hand side, these are sort of the big metrics that we were sort of defining. How do we leverage digital to engage with our individual members? How do we enhance membership value? And then how do we continue to create content value for them so that they have the desire to share with their teams, share with their own individual constituencies. All of those were sort of the metrics that were sort of guiding our background strategy, right? And looking towards looking backwards for a second, our former platform did not have the functionality to sort of be a warehouse for content that was easily shareable, snackable, or sharp. And so this really gave us sort of the guiding principle for how we wanted to move forward. These metrics continue to be our guiding backbones for how we are going to assess and continue to refine the things that we're doing in sort of our digital strategy. Now, again, that includes much more than just the website, and again, we're going to go through all of those digital assets today. So kind of where did we come from? Where are we going? We started the process back in January of 2015, so about a year and a half ago, at which point we sort of built sort of what we want to achieve with this time and money investment, and then once we sort of had the kind of the guiding metrics that I just shared with you, we put out an RFP. Now the RFP was unique because it was really guided by you, the members. We had everybody post their ideas, all of the agencies post their ideas to our Facebook page, and you, the membership, voted for who you thought was the best. Eventually we chose Schneider Associates, actually. We, the collective membership, chose Schneider. They're based out of Boston, and they've been a very good partner to work with. Over several months, as you can see, between August of 2015 and April of 2016, we went through several iterations of website templates, functionality, look and feel, etc. We went through sort of a whole rebranding process that was part of this. And again, what you can obviously see in the top left-hand corner of your screen is our new sort of logo that sort of has been contemporized for the future. After the board's approval of where we were going, we actually launched the new site live in June. But again, that was sort of just phase one. We have several more phases as we continue to add new functionality along the way. Again, some of it was a transport from our content from the old sites to the new site, but then there was a sort of a laundry list of things we wanted to be able to do that had to be scaled over time. So it's not just a waterfall once and done. It's really an agile process. So here we go. What is different about our new digital assets? Again, so much of this we're talking here is about the website. The website being our hub for most of our interactions. It has really become our ecosystem. It's where all of our content, connections, our resources all live in. It's where we hope to drive membership to first and foremost, and then use our other platforms as a way to enhance. The Content Hub, which we'll go through today, really seems to be the bread and butter of a lot of what we do and what we aim to do in the future. As part of the strategy, you saw that we want to be not only creating but curating and sharing content relevant to all all of our UNICON member schools. Again, that thing goes beyond thought leadership, but how do we bring conferences into the digital world as well? How do we bring all of those experiences that we love and enjoy when we go face-to-face, and how do we extend those using the website as that mechanism? Again, all of those details are there. All of our registration pages for events, board updates. Again, if we move towards a level of transparency, all of that lives now on the website. The member directory, again, that's from the organizational level. All the member schools, we'll go through some of their features and new features that they have now with the website. One thing that we said has been a very important thing to remain was all of the job postings. We have a new platform similar to the other one, but with a little more functionality and readability from the old website to the new. The newsletter, which we'll go through here in a second, as well as social media channels, all with new branding and a new strategy and emphasis as well. So we'll kind of move forward, and here you can see just an example. So on the top left, you can see the UNICON Facebook page, below that the UNICON Twitter page, and to the right, the new look and feel of the newsletter. Again, we're trying to cascade our new branding across all of our channels. One of the things that you'll see with the new newsletter is that it does a very nice job of tying together the look and feel, as well as be able to prioritize what's most current, what's most liked, what you really need to stop and look at. And again, it just gives it that more modern feel. One of the other pieces to be aware of is that not only is the website, but the newsletter is a responsive design, and so it makes it a lot easier as more and more of us are digesting our websites through mobile. Again, that's one of the really important things that we wanted to drive home with the new website and all of our digital assets was accessibility, and accessibility regardless of what device we're on. What you'll notice with some of our strategy is that our content really lives on our website. It's where we sort of push everyone to, but then if you look at our social media channels, such as Facebook and Twitter, right now they're just sort of our push mechanism. We have several other strategies and ways to use the social media channels once we sort of get caught up with the website, but those are all sort of in the queue for as we look forward. Our next set of projects is how do we extend value using social beyond just sort of a push mechanism for our content. So I think at this point the question is, let's go look at what some of the new things are. And so I'm going to take you to a live demo of the website now, and I'll enlarge this so you can see it. So this is our new landing page for the UNICON website. One of the things that I want to just draw your attention to is, as you can see from the front landing pages, they're pictures of us, the members. This is one of the things that we aim to continue to integrate as we go through more conferences, more events, and we can get more photos. We really want this website to be an embodiment of us, the members, and be able to feature members so that, again, when you go to see friends that you haven't seen in a while, you recognize those faces. And again, we'll show you a few other ways in which we've tried to do that with the website. Just following down the website, as you can see, there's a scrolling list of all the members on the very front page. They move 3 at a time through all 112. We'll go back to, you can click on them and go to your page. But again, those are just to bring the individual brands front and center, so that, again, we are a collection of our members. Working our way down, let me just walk you through a few things. On the left-hand side here, this is the most recent posts to the Content Hub. Some of these are thought leadership from individual schools. Some of these are just events that are coming up, opportunities to learn more. I think it's good for me to pause for a second just because I want to walk through each one of these insignias on each post. So obviously there is Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So these now each post is easily shareable to your individual social networks. Moving further to the right, we can now make comments directly to content or events right on the website. And lastly, the heart is our own internal mechanism for liking something, right? So what this helps us do is helps us bubble up the content that we really like. We collectively as membership really like and find value in. And it's basically a way for us to start to get some metrics around what do you, the members, like. And it allows us to then go back and put more of a content strategy around developing more of what you like. And again, so the whole idea here is that we've put in some tools to give our individual members more voice and more say in what we do as an organization. So that's sort of the strategy behind having these thumbs up shareable features to the website. To the right hand side, right now it's just sort of examples, but what you'll see over time as we ask the members to get more involved and to be sharing more content to the UNICON page is that you'll see the authors start to rise, right? As individual schools, say Smith or Cornell, start adding more content, they will rise higher in the list. So there'll be more presence for those individual schools that are more actively engaged. And so that's the hope, is that in many ways all of us are incentivized to contribute and to be recognized for the extra work that you do putting these posts together. So that's the first filter. The next filter below it is recent posts. Again, it's just timeline. And then also here's a curation of comments. So when people start commenting on different posts, we have a way to see that here as well. And then just moving down, there's ways for us to pull out archives, to search, to tag. That's what the categories are. Categories are tags. So if there's things that you're particularly interested in, meaning leadership development or program management or coordination, we'll have those categories tagged so that you can sort of find your buckets of information easily, and again be able to find to get from where you want to be to where you what content you want to see as quickly and easily as possible. And that's, of course, that's the goal of all of this. Just moving down, you can see we have a few more opportunities to kind of redirect people, and obviously here we're showcasing some of the multimedia that we can now receive inside of our website. And then finally, all the way to the bottom, we have the events calendar from which you can sort of click into and see more information. Again, you can add things directly from here to your Google Calendar or your iCal or whichever calendar you might use. Again, just a way of sort of making it easier to stay connected with UNICON and all of the various events that we do. So that's the main home page. Again, so actually one last thing is one of the things that we have really tried to do is make the newsletter as easily subscribed to as possible, so that all of our individual members can feel connected to the information that we're pushing out. So we'll keep moving downstream. So next to home, obviously we have the Content Hub, and this is really where a lot of the magic happens. One thing that I'm going to, after we go through this demo, and as I'll come back to, we actually have some more filters for the Content Hub that have not been initialized yet that I can show you sort of a sneak preview to of how we will be able to manage some of this content. Because if I can start with the kind of the high level, the idea here is that everything kind of resides here. So whether it's a post-conference blog post, whether it's a piece of insight from one of our member schools, whether it's an event that's coming up. The recent stuff all kind of trickles down in order here. The challenge then is, what about the older stuff that we want to be able to go back to? And that's why filters were very important for us, and tags were very important to us, so that we could then get you what you want to see, regardless of what just happened most recently. But that's, again, we've already talked a bit about some of the shareability factors of all of this. But again, that's sort of how it's organized. Right now it's in chronological order, but again, you'll have the opportunity to refilter them and put them in an order that makes sense for you and depending on what you want to look at. Okay. So I'm going to move to member directory. So some exciting things that I think have happened here. What you'll now see on the member directory is a map, right? So a global map that represents all of our schools by region, and what it will allow you to do is, so for instance, I'm in North America, so what it can allow you to do is to zoom in to certain parts of the region that you want to see, and actually be able to click into and see, oh, that's who's available for exec ed in that particular region. Now, we see this is not only useful for us, but also useful for external people that might be coming to our website looking for exec ed providers. So it's got a kind of a twofold approach, but a bit more visual, more interactive than we've had in the past, which we're pretty excited about. Similar to what we've had in the past is this A to Z, which again just gives everything to us in order of alphabetical. And again, our filters are on top here, A, B, C, etc., for the ones that have relevant universities. We can also use a global region, and on the left-hand side, what that will do is help us sort of break it down by where you are in the globe, and then there are smaller filters. So again, if we were going back to North America, it then allows you to kind of pull it down even closer. So you want to be in the USA, and then beyond USA, you want to be East, West, or Central, and then what will populate is the schools that are relevant for that audience. So again, we've tried to bring some of the tools that work from the old site to the new site, and obviously make it easier for people to interact with on the new site. And then the keyword search will do a similar activity. So for instance, I'm obviously biased, I'm coming from Rutgers, so from there I can search and I can go right to the school that I'm looking for. So all ways in which we go into member directories. So I'm going to pause there for a second, because then I'm going to highlight an example of a member or a member page.
And Peter, as you're pausing, we have received a question. Is there a search function in the Content Hub, going back a bit?
Yes, there is. It's one I'm going to show in a few minutes on my PowerPoint slides, just because the search functionality is not live. I mean, there's a general website search right now, but we're about to put in new filters for search in the Content Hub, which I'll highlight when I get back to my PowerPoint presentation.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So here I'm just highlighting, I'm showing one of the web pages for Alto. A couple of things I want you to be aware of when you look at this. You'll have much more, as individual members, you'll have more functionality than you ever have in the past, including changing pictures, changing content, what you want them to see, or what contact information you'd like them to see. One of the things that will happen is when you put a post into the Content Hub, say Alto put a post into a Content Hub, right here in the top right-hand corner, recent post by this member, all of their Content Hub posts will be tagged to their page as well. So for instance, if Alto over the next several months includes many posts, all of their information, all of their content will show up here. So It's a way it'll show up on the main page, it'll show up in the Content Hub, it'll also show up here tagged into their school. So when we start thinking about ways in which schools can have more of a voice on and more of an involvement on the UNICON page, that's certainly a great one to go with. Also moving down, I just want to show this off. This is a new feature that we just added recently. We now have photo galleries. So if you want to show off your school, they are clickable. So you can enlarge the pictures of your school or an event or something that you particularly are proud of. And all of these are very easily shareable. So pictures, beyond just posts, individual pictures are shareable to any of the social networks as well. So it's a new feature. One of the things that we're also integrating is the ability to embed videos. So if you have say you have a sizzle video or some sort of video that highlights who you are and what you do, we can embed that right into your homepage as well. So lots more functionality here. We're going to have a sort of a blog post coming out shortly on all of the different things that you can do with member schools on this page. But those are some of the highlights. More multimedia, more description, and more control over the content, and having relevant content for you as member school. So I'm pausing there. Hopefully all of that makes sense. Again, some of these features are, again, still in the process of being rolled out. We'd love to hear your feedback. Again, if you ever want to follow up with an email and say, hey, this was really good, but I'd love to have this functionality as well, we're certainly open to any of that continued refinement. This is not a done project by any means. So hopefully that all works. I'm going to move on to the resources page. So first I'll click into it so you can see the landing page. This really is a quick about UNICON, but then if you kind of scroll over, there are the sort of, let's call it, some of the really frequently used pages of the website, at least as we can see by our analytics. One that is very popular, obviously, is this available positions. So much of the traffic comes here. Again, it's what the members want to see, and so we want to make sure it's easy to get to. Similar to our old site, you can obviously click in to get more information at any of these member schools, and then there's usually links for you to go in, or tells you where to go and apply for a job if you're interested. So that's similar, but just want to make sure that you're aware of where it's located. So the committees page, this landing page is still a work in process. We want to make it a little more user-friendly, but I want to sort of highlight one of the big changes in our committee pages. I'm actually, at this moment, I'm going to show you a before and after. So here is a sample of what the benchmarking committee was historically. It was really just a list of who's who. What we have looked to do now is to sort of centralize it and make it a little more interactive. So here's a sample of the new benchmarking committee page. What you'll see is a few tabs that are expandable. It gives you some insight into what they do, goals for the year. Again, what's in their cooker, what projects they're working on, etc. How to get involved. Again, we're trying to get more and more people involved in some of these committees. And then also right below that is access to recent results, right? So projects that they've worked on. So that not only will they live in the Content Hub, but they'll have sort of a repository for historical data. So again, it's easy to get to, and that's sort of the goal, is that we make things easily findable from even different locations. And then one of the other things that we've added this year is that the committees will be populated with not only photos, but ways to connect to those folks through whatever social media channels they have. Again, the goal here was to put more of the membership's face to the website, and the reason behind that was we see each other so rarely throughout the year that it's important for us that we can recognize these sort of involved people. That way, if those that want to get involved, they recognize the faces and say, hey, I know that person, they're part of the benchmarking committee, let me go talk to them and see how I can get involved. We wanted there to be more opportunities to network face-to-face, but also digitally, and so that's why we have sort of their social media connections there as well, so that there can be this bridging of connections face-to-face or online. So some of the things that we're sort of rolling out as the next couple weeks go by, and then lastly on the bottom you have specific events. So one of the ideas is that if a committee has an event, so say they're going to have a meeting and you are interested in being involved or know when it is, they can post the meeting opportunity there, as well as a way you now have a sort of a direct route right into that committee for either ideas, suggestions, or getting involved. So that's sort of the new layout of the committee pages. They'll be, again, as the other ones roll out, they'll be very similar to this, but this sort of gives you a good look at how they've evolved from sort of a very one-dimensional to sort of three-dimensional look and feel. And then lastly, on the board members, similarly, you'll see not just names on a page, but faces, right? So again, often our board members are the ones that are generally at every event, so knowing face and name just helps connect the dots a little better so that you can always feel like you can reach out and get to know these people as well. And what you'll see here, similarly to the other page, that if they have a social media network, you can click into it and connect with them. For instance, Giuseppe has both Twitter and LinkedIn, and that should be the idea as we roll out to other places where members who have taken an active role have more visibility, not only for their schools, but for their individual participation. Okay, so I think that covers the committee pages, board members, good. So now on to events. And again, similar to what we had on the front page, whatever's coming up in sort of the near view, we have access to it right here to learn more information, click into, and register. And then my last spot to just show is that on the contact page, there's a way for you to contact pretty much any group, whether it's about a committee, whether it's about getting in touch with the executive director, the webmaster. You can pretty much do it here, and then they go directly to a dedicated email box. One of the things for now, we will have more information coming out shortly, but if you are interested in contributing to the Content Hub, on the right-hand side here you can see there's actually a way for you to give you the full explanation on how to do it. And one of the other options is that right in the bottom here there's a submit via form, and it looks just like this. And so what you'd be doing is you would put this to the communications committee or the editor-in-chief, and you put your name, school, and you can either attach it as a file, or you can type it right in here. And then at this point we will be posting on your behalf, tagging your school. The idea is eventually we'll be sort of giving up some of that control to our active members. As of now, we're just sort of collecting it centrally and then posting it on your behalf. Again, those sorts of things happen very quickly, and it's actually nice. We have some resources for you. We have some team on our side that will go through and just do a grammar check and make sure everything is sort of in line with the guidelines that we've set forth. And again, all of those will be released to you over the next coming few weeks. So that's the demo of the website. One of the things that I just want you to be able to see really quickly is that it is responsive, so as you shrink it, you can see that it takes on a different look and feel. I urge you to go check it out on your mobile phones. That certainly makes a difference in the readability of the website from old to new. So with that said, I'm going to jump back to my slides and go through a few more things with you. I know that we had a question a little while ago about searchability on the Content Hub. And so what you see in front of you now are several of the search functions for the Content Hub. And if I can highlight it for you in this region. So the first one is a category search. That will allow you to search, again, some of the big topics like subject matter, events, membership committees, etc. The next one, moving to the right, in the right-hand screenshot, is for photos. So you could do a photo search either by institution or other tags. And then lastly, there's a keyword search as well. On the left, I'm sorry, I mean to jump around on you, but on the left-hand side, you can actually filter by the same criteria that you saw before in the finding of the members. You can find photos and content based on region as well. So for instance, if you're in APAC and you just want to see content around that particular region, you can do that as well. All right. So that's some of the functionality for search that will be coming out in the next couple weeks. Again, as I said, it's sort of an iterative process, and we continue to refine, but please don't hesitate to reach out to us with any of your suggestions on how it can continue to be better. So one of the other questions that I asked earlier, so who's involved? You know, we certainly are, as a collective membership, involved, and we ask you to be involved. One of the asks that we're looking for, and you know, we'll communicate this out through sort of several releases to your new digital lead, right? So each school is asked to present a digital lead, and that person will be sort of the conduit for going to get content from your institution to the UNICON site for content updates on your member page, any multimedia, etc. That'll be their contact person. The goal is just generally is to be able to have at least one post per school per year, right? So if you do the quick math on that, that would give us 2 new posts per week every year based on the number of members we have. Some say it's an ambitious goal, some say it's a low bar goal. I think it's a realistic one. If we can try to get each school to contribute 1 post per year, it certainly adds so much intellectual horsepower to what we're trying to achieve here, sharing the knowledge across all of our members, and really enhancing the value that the UNICON brings to sort of the global sphere as well as for our individual members. So that's sort of our goal. I think you saw that on my early metrics, but I'm just reiterating again. The idea is that we all take a little bit of responsibility, but how much it can amplify, and that was sort of what I was trying to portray with this. We are a mighty bunch, but if we all take a little piece, the results can be tremendous. This was just a quick sample, again, of showing of what the member page can look like with multimedia. We did preview that live, so I can kind of move on past that. So just what's the benefit for you? So again, some of this is a bit, I'll say repetitive, but just to understand the process. Each school can provide posts for the Content Hub. They can be a variety of different things. They can be videos, thought leadership, opinion pieces, news coverage, program announcements, research, all kinds of stuff. We're looking to try to make the content not so salesy, if you will. So we're not looking for necessarily, hey, we have a new program, come sign up for it. Not necessarily the right platform for that, but we're looking for trends, things that you're seeing in your classroom, things that you're seeing with your executive learners. How is it changing? How are we adapting? I think that things that have sort of a larger executive education backbone to them that are applicable or relevant to the audience as a whole, those are really the sorts of things that we're looking for. But I think the point is that they can come in many different modes of information. So please feel free to get creative and share with the group as a whole. As of now, our team really is made up of Dan, who's our editor-in-chief, Schneider, who's our agency that we're working with, and Athru is helping us do a lot of the writing, the copywriting for not only our content posts, but also for the website as well. As of now, you can submit those posts through the website or through email, and we'll post on your behalf. And again, make sure that it's optimized for search and for findability on our site. And then we'll obviously notify the posting school when it's been posted so that all of this can be shared accordingly. But that's the general process. Again, what we have tried to achieve in terms of benefits for our members is certainly a digital experience that hopefully we're all proud of. It's been sort of contemporized for all of us with obviously increased accessibility, flexibility, and content that hopefully has a better pulse on what the membership is looking for, wants and needs. Again, the idea is to continue to extend what we do face-to-face in the digital environment, whether it's on our website or social media, and so putting a real focus on how we can continue to integrate and enhance what we do so well together. And then lastly, we hope that it continues to be another marketing channel that that you're not necessarily paying for, that your presence as part of a UNICON brand connected with your colleagues around the globe continues to be a place to showcase the wonderful work that you do and the company that you keep, and so it can hopefully our collective efforts result in something bigger and better than our individual efforts. And lastly, what's next? So what will come shortly are a series of blog posts that sort of outline sort of step guides, what an ideal blog post looks like, or at least a suggested good one might look like, better process for how do we plan some of the content calendar, and to be able to sort of have a better conduit between our editorial team and your individual member schools. And again, how do we continue to enhance and integrate all that we're doing in digital with everything else that our members want and need. Yeah, my contact information there is on the right-hand side. You're more than welcome to message me directly if you have any specific questions. Obviously, you have our communications committee's information there as well. And lastly, if you want to reach out to Dan directly, all of which are great conduits for getting involved. And so I hope that you have liked what you've seen, that you'll really take seriously the rally call to get involved, even in little bits. We really hope that we've made you proud with what we've done, and we hope that you continue to push us to do more and to do better. So with that, I'll turn it over to Rob for any questions that he might have received, and anything that you might have on your mind, or questions about the site.
Great, Peter, and thank you so much for a wonderful in-depth look at the functionality and the redesign of the website. I must confess that I'd spent a little bit of time exploring the website when it was reintroduced, but today, very, very helpful session for me and hopefully for others. Really impressive work in terms of the rich and robust functionality that's been added in here, and hopefully today's webinar will help us all make the best use of that. Just a reminder to the participants, please submit your questions via the question box on your GoToWebinar panel, and we'll be able to relay those to Peter. I'll be looking for those shortly. In the meantime, Peter, just a few questions from me in listening to the presentation today. Very helpful to kind of get a sense of the processes that support the posting of content and how this is being rolled out and introduced. One question, as we start to get more and more content in the Content Hub, is there an expiration date on content that's submitted, or how long will it be displayed, and if it does expire, will it be moved to some kind of an archive?
So there will be no expiration. The content will always live on the site, and that's why the filters are so important, so that we can make sure we bubble up that content. Even if say it's a year or two, several years down the road, depending on what it is. For instance, things like research reports or benchmarking. A lot of times we want to be able to refer back to those for historical data, and so we want to have access to those. So there is no expiration on the content. Obviously the movement of will certainly be the most recent stuff on top, but yeah, I don't know that there'll be no expiration, and we'll make sure that everyone has access to what they've contributed for the longevity.
Great. And a question coming in, will there be a way for individuals to connect with people with similar interests? I'm assuming that's
it's a great question. So one of the things that we are looking to do, and this is sort of you folks that have joined will get sort of the inside scoop on what we're planning. We're looking to build some LinkedIn groups around functional areas. And so, for instance, we're looking to put together a LinkedIn group for program managers. And so it would be a way for them to support each other and to network and to generate best practice in sort of an ecosystem that's sort of safe and where they already are. We didn't think that the website necessarily could serve that functionality well, and so we've kind of come up with this idea of putting together some like trial groups on LinkedIn to do that, to serve that purpose. For instance, program management, maybe custom programs, marketing and communications groups. Again, just ways for us to share best practices. What we do face-to-face so well, putting together a structure that enables that sort of sharing of ideas, sharing of networking, only sort of in a digital environment.
Great. In terms of looking as this has been rolled out and people and members are increasingly using the tools, is there an evaluation process in place to see what pages or what functions are being more valued by members?
Yeah, so right now we're using mostly Google Analytics to understand what what pages people are using the most. What's getting the richest engagement or the richest amount of usability and shareability, right? So that goes back to some of the metrics that we started with in our strategy. That's sort of right now how we're doing that. One of the sort of, just being transparent, we haven't sort of really hit the go button on getting members involved. Like today sort of starts that. And so I think that's going to be the big piece for us moving forward, is as we get more content churning through the UNICON site, that's going to be one of our big focus points, is continuing to keep a look at what people really like. We haven't necessarily said, tell us what you don't like and don't like. Our hope is that the mechanism on the Content Hub where people can heart it will be a nice way for us to also get an idea of what people like and what they don't really care for. And so we've got a couple of those mechanisms, but not necessarily a formal survey process for what they like and don't like. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's great. Thank you. So it sounds like there'll be a lot of importance placed on the role of these digital leads that you had mentioned, and I'm sure that we're probably fairly early on the curve in terms of getting those individuals from members identified. Will there be any kind of a campaign, or is there a window that you have in terms of targets for assigning digital leads and having those people actively contributing to the content?
Yes, I think as you saw from the recent emails, went out to the prime reps recently for their hard catalog updates. In that was an ask for all of the for a digital lead from each member school. So I think that we're going to see how that process goes. Hopefully we get a high response rate from that, and then we'll have a sort of a secondary plan if we need to start reaching out directly to prime reps asking for a lead from their individual schools. But hopefully we give a strong response rate, and if anyone listening, make sure you put someone on that list when you send it back in the next week or so.
Great. Any other questions coming in from the question portal, the question box? Please submit them now. And while we're waiting for a few final questions, one request from me, Peter, kind of from a very selfish perspective, we're always looking for topics from members for what they'd like to see in terms of upcoming webinars. Is there any chance you could just kind of give us a demo? You'd mentioned how there's the functionality to contact the different committees. Would it be possible for you to kind of demonstrate how somebody could submit a webinar topic that we might be able to pull for future ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I'll share with you one of the things that we are looking to do is be able to do dynamic polls on the website. Something that our agency is working with. So there'd be a place right on the main page for us to do like monthly dynamic polls. What are you interested in, etc. Again, those are sort of on the next stage of planning, but things that we want to achieve. So to answer your question, so if you go to Contact in the top right-hand corner, here you can select any of the committees. So for us, or for you, right? Part of the communication. Yep. So right here, you could put your name and say, we'd be really interested to have a webinar around this topic. And then it would come right to the team, and we always appreciate the feedback and the insight and the ideas that our members generate for us.
That's great. So I'm hopeful that participants on today's call and people that view the recording of this will take advantage of that functionality and let us know what they'd like to see for upcoming webinars. And that polling functionality in the future sounds like it would be great. So if we have several topics suggested, we can kind of take a quick pulse of what the members would really like to see. That's great to know. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other final questions? I don't see anything coming in. We're a few minutes ahead of schedule. So with that, Peter, I'd like to thank you again for your time and effort, not only in the months leading up to this in terms of getting everything deployed, but also for walking us through it today. I think it will be a valuable tool, and I'm now understanding this should probably reside on our Content Hub for members to view in the future, and hopefully people will take advantage of that. Thank you also to Dan Collins for organizing the webinar and making sure that the technology works seamlessly. So thank you both, and we'll look forward to connecting again in the future.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. It was a pleasure, and have a great day wherever you are in the world.
Thanks again.